Hello guys and welcome back. Now today's video will be all about this guy right here, Gavin McKenna, the 18-year-old top NHL prospect. Now guys, if you are a regular NHL fan, I'm sure you have heard about McKenna before. He has been, for the past couple of years really, basically a unanimous pick #1 for the NHL 2026 draft. He has been nicknamed the Wizard from Yukon. And yes guys, that has changed a little bit in the past couple of months since he joined the NCAA, the University League in the United States, because his numbers have dropped quite significantly from the numbers he was putting up in the Canadian junior leagues. But Gavin McKenna remains, even right now, the top pick for the most of the NHL scouts, even though it's no longer unanimous decision, and some scouts start to believe that they would probably pick from the #1 position somebody else. So let's talk all about Gavin McKenna in today's video. Now guys, I am almost sure you have heard a lot about Gavin McKenna's hockey skills. They are without a doubt one of the best hockey skills we have seen from an upcoming young player in the past couple of years in the NHL and in the hockey world. But actually he has a very interesting backstory as well, which maybe you have heard about, but maybe not. So let me start with his backstory. Okay guys, so when you're usually talking about the top NHL players, they usually come from Europe or from the Northern American cities like Toronto, Vancouver, or some, major hockey hubs pretty much. But we will always find exceptions. And Gavin McKenna is one as well. He comes all the way from the north of Canada, actually on the border of Alaska in the United States. He comes from the Yukon territory, from the city of Whitehorse. And his story is tied to this city, to this region. And since he was very young, he has been a top player in his class, but he didn't find, many top guys playing there, obviously, because Yukon, it's all the way up north, and you don't have a lot of competition there. So he has been fighting with this problem since he was very, very young. And actually, he decided, or he had to leave his house and his household, his family behind in Yukon when he was only 12 years old. And he moved thousands of miles north to the, proximity of Vancouver in British Columbia, I do believe. So he just had to make this move if he wanted to stay competitive. And obviously it was very hard for his family, for his mom especially, but also for his dad and all of his family pretty much. But there was no other way for him in order to be able to compete with the top players than to eventually move from Yukon. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a very strong connection still to this date to his family. He still speaks very highly of them, and he's proud that he belongs to one of the tribes of the, the indigenous population of Canada. So guys, his origins and his story, all the way from Yukon, northern Canada, one of the northernmost territories inhabited in the entire world, is very important for his story, Even moving forward, he has a chance to become the first member of the indigenous populations to become the #1 overall draft pick. But right now, let's talk a little bit more about his hockey skills and his hockey, his hockey characteristics. He's actually not the biggest guy, okay? He's about 77 kilograms he weighs and 183 centimeters. So he's not the biggest guy you will find on the ice, but he compensates his, maybe a little bit less big physical frame with just elite puck possession skills. He's one of the best, puck controlling players right now, upcoming young players. And he has put up 129 points in just 56 games in the WHL last season. That were just amazing numbers. Everybody was over the roof hyping up this player, and rightly so. Amazing play by Gavin McKenna. So many assists. His hockey IQ is just off the charts, and he has been compared to Patrick Kane many times, and you can see on the ice. Why? Just watch his highlights and you will see why he has been compared to Patrick Kane. But guys, he made some very important decision before this season started, and this decision has been that he has switched from the WHL to NCAA, the University League in the USA. And this has been a very much, discussed decision by Gavin McKenna, a decision that I would say, have not seen so frequently in the past. And some first cracks start to open. Obviously, NCAA has some older players than the WHL, but Gavin McKenna and his productivity has downgraded quite significantly this season. He has played so far 14 games in this season of NCAA. He has only 4 goals and 18 points overall. So that's obviously a lot, worse productivity than he had last season in WHL when he registered 129 points in just 56 games. Obviously, guys, some scouts and some, experts are saying that he is not as dominant as he has been in WHL, which was probably to be expected. But on the other hand, some experts are saying that there are also some positives for Gavin McKenna in NCAA. One of them is that in NCAA, you play a lot less games than in, for example, WHL. So the positive from this is that Gavin McKenna can spend more time, for example, in the gym, trying to build up his physical frame, trying to work on his physique, and that definitely will pay off once he starts to play in the NHL next season. So again, you have some negatives, you have some positives, as with everything in life. And the positive from the NCAA, obviously he doesn't score as much, he plays against tougher or older guys, but the positive is he can spend more time in the gym, he can spend more time on the training, in the training facilities, trying to work on his game and trying to improve what he can before next season when he starts to jump in the NHL. Okay, guys, and actually when you look right now at the screen at the, draft predictions for the next year, well, you see Gavin McKenna, no longer unanimous decision between all of the NHL scouts and all of the NHL experts. For example, Sportsnet, Constantino, and also Bukala have him at number 2 spot, and they have already a very talented young Canadian defenseman, Keaton Fairhoof, as number 1 pick. He has been compared, for example, to Aaron Ekblad. Some other guys have him at number 3, for example, and they choose a very talented Swede Evar Stenberg as their number 1 pick. So still, as you can see on the majority of the, draft predictions, Gavin McKenna remains the number 1 pick, and I still do believe that Gavin McKenna will be the number 1 pick, but it is no longer unanimous, and his play in the NCAA has, raised some questions, that is for sure, but also Evar Stenberg has been absolutely amazing in the SHL in Sweden, and also Keaton Fairhoof has been showing some amazing play. So it is no longer guaranteed that Gavin McKenna will be the number 1 pick when the time comes for the NHL Draft 2026, although he still remains one of the top favorites to grab that spot. Okay, guys, and we cannot finish this video without talking about the World Juniors that are being played right now in Minnesota in the United States. Obviously, Gavin McKenna, one of the pillars, one of the key players for Team Canada. As of recording this video, he has played 2 games at this World Juniors, and he has 4 points, 4 assists, amazing playmaking abilities he's showing also at this year World Juniors. But this tournament, I feel like, will be very important for Gavin McKenna. Obviously, he has been at the World Juniors last year, where it was again a very big disappointment for Team Canada, only 5th place. In a 2nd year in a row for Team Canada, they didn't make it to the semifinals, a big blow for Canada. And Gavin McKenna, even before this year's World Juniors, has said that it is his top priority to make sure that Canada will have a better result this time around. So definitely watch out for Gavin McKenna, and his play at this year's World Juniors can very much dictate where he will eventually finish in the NHL Draft, because, the scouts, the experts, they put a lot of weight on this big competition games, these big international games. This is probably the biggest stage Gavin McKenna can play at right now, because obviously he won't make the Olympic roster for Team Canada for Milan and Torino, but still, his play at World Juniors this year will go a long way to decide if he still stays at, number one spot, or if, for example, Evar Stenberg will have amazing World Juniors and he will make some success with Sweden. Well, in that case, the case for Evar Stenberg can become a lot more vocal, I guess. Okay, guys, so that is the story of Gavin McKenna, a very much talented young Canadian prospect, one of the best prospects, I would say, of the past couple of years. You know his backstory. He is from Yukon, from all the way up north, next to Alaska's border. He's very proud to be, a part of the indigenous populations in Canada. He could become the first member of the indigenous populations to grab that number one draft pick spot. And yeah, you also know about his numbers in WHL, just amazing, 129 points in just 56 games, and his maybe a little bit of struggles in NCAA this season. It will be very interesting to see how he will do this year at the World Juniors with Team Canada. And yeah, he's still very young, guys, no question about it. Just a couple of days ago, he celebrated his 18th birthday. He's, 2007, that was the year he was born, so still very young. He still has a lot of time to work on his hockey abilities, and I cannot wait to see him in the NHL next season. It will be a treat to watch, as always. Thank you, guys, if you stick all the way to the end, and please subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that, as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. That is our big goal right now, so every single subscriber is very much appreciated, guys. And please tell me in the comments, what do you think about Gavin McKenna? What do you think his potential are? Do you think he can become the next Patrick Kane? Tell me in the comments. And that's all for today's video, guys. See you in the next one. Have a good one.